Steve-O, I think we're live.
You think we're live?
I think we're live. I think we're on here competing today against Ignite, so a big competitor there for our eyeballs.
I'm going to say Ignite is probably going to beat us.
Yep.
You know, I have zero interest in watching live sessions on Ignite because I know, first of all, most of the content has been pre-recorded.
Yeah.
The only thing that's actually live is the Q&A. And it's a bunch of people asking stupid questions that we already know the answers to. And I just don't see any value in watching it. I don't need to know the information an hour before the rest of the world. I mean, I'm perfectly content to go back. I'll watch our Slack channel of MVPs. I'll wait till people talk about this session was interesting. This one was boring. This one I learned nothing. And then I'll just go back and watch the ones that people were talking about recorded.
Yeah.
Maybe next week. I don't know, whenever the hell it makes sense. But to just sit here in front of my computer all day and for me, it's work hours.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
I don't.
This is the interesting thing. You know, I signed up. I'm in Ignite, and I go through. You know, they released a book. Did you see that book that they released? Let me see. I'll get the name of it. 1 second here. What did they call it? It's called
Thanks, Danny.
The Book of News. BON. Right?
Book of News.
Yeah, Book of News. So it's a PDF document that last year they sent out to MVPs early with all the announcements, etc., that were going to be made in all the product categories.
So you don't have to just sit there listening to everything, waiting to hear an announcement.
No, there's a PDF document. You can go through that document and bang, you've got now the Book of News, which is
the only thing better would be if they gave me the timestamp on the video.
Yeah. So here we go. Actually, I've just been able to find the actual file. So why don't I jump in there and paste it in? There you go. The Book of News, Ignite 2020. And so if you jump in here, you can see all the announcements that they're going to make published in here. So this document went out at 8 a.m. PST this morning.
Okay.
Oh, Danny, what's interesting about voice? But anyhow, this Book of News, am I not loud enough? Microphone in. Book of News is, in the past, we would have got this as MVPs in advance. They said due to last minute changes, etc., they've released it at the same time as everything else. Now in here, I quickly, went through to BizApps. There was no news.
No news. Yeah.
There's nothing at all. Oh, sorry. The biggest news item that I can see looking on Twitter and everything is the new icons. That's the biggest news. Fancy new icons. And of course, Ben Vollmer is very particular as correcting people if they call them logos. They're not logos, they are icons.
Yeah.
PowerApps and Power Automate, etc., have got new icons.
Even in our back channels that we've got access to, I haven't heard a tremendous amount of significant new stuff.
No.
Frankly, I don't think that's a bad thing because, we were getting bombarded with new stuff, faster than we could even absorb it for a while there. So I don't mind the little bit of a break and let us all catch up to where things are at.
Yeah.
Charles had said a while back on, I think my last call with him, that they were really focused on trying to make everything they got work better.
Yep.
Which is good because at some point you got to stop and make what you got work better and can't just keep building stuff. But then, this DataFlex / Project Oakdale / whatever the hell they're going to call it next in Teams, I think seems to have gotten a lot of attention internally as well as externally. It's definitely the shiniest of shiny objects right now.
Yeah, but like that, everyone was expecting that they were going to release a non-Project Oakdale name. Yeah,
I'm a little surprised they didn't. Would have thought by now they would have gotten something and had it vetted, but I guess they haven't. I mean, I think that the data flex probably burnt them so bad that they're doing some super vetting, maybe beyond just the search, but actually filing for and getting a trademark or something before they do something. Maybe this time they're not taking any more chances than that. You know, some of that crap takes a while.
True. But the thing is that, yeah, I don't know. I expected some big announcements. I'm wondering, is James Phillips waiting till the 1st of October, where he has his own dedicated BizApps launch event, and we're going to see a bunch more on that? That's what, about 2 weeks out, or well, only a week and a bit.
Yeah, maybe it's not that far out, but you know, Oakdale is as much about Teams as it is about, you know,
Totally.
BizApps.
Yeah.
So
And
you
I
would
mean,
have thought,
that's all. Ryan Cunningham's done a post this morning. That's now all there. You can, if you got Teams, you should be able to jump in and deploy CDS directly now from within Teams.
I think I told you I was on a private pilot with that, with the guy who's running that thing for actually a few, maybe it's been 2 months. That pilot's been going. He set a cadence call for almost every day, which is too much.
Yeah.
And but I did notice an email. I kind of stopped going to the sessions because there were just too many of them. You know, I can't turn everything I've got into, you know, Oakdale.
Yeah.
So there was just too much. But I did see an email from him like 2 days ago or something, saying something about, all right, you know, we're at the finish line now. This thing's about to go GA. You know, last minute, any fixes, any last things before we go. So I knew they were going to be. So yeah, I guess today was the day they actually launched it. So that thing has been, I would say, of the apps and stuff that we've seen out there that have gotten external validation, that one has gotten quite a bit. I mean, this thing, and you know, there's always MVPs and folks that'll be like, oh yeah, I'll stay up day and night, you know, 24/7 to try and solve all of your problems, Microsoft, for nothing. You know, I'm not one of those guys, but there certainly are some of those folks that are that seem to take pride in finding the misspelling on the submenu of the 3rd page index, you know, and they get pride in doing that, and we'll really dive into all that sort of stuff. So I've had several of those folks on that call, and that call was a ridiculous cadence like I've never seen. I mean, on some of the biggest things they've had where I've been on cadence calls, the cadence was never more than once a week.
Yeah.
So multiple times a day. Wow.
Yeah, that is crazy. And like, I've been on one that's been a weekly cadence, and even then I'm like, you're not showing me, like, 1 week is not enough time to actually release features, triage them, and then ready to go. You know, maybe it's enough time to draw some sketches of what's needed. Thanks, Brian.
I think it all has to do with timing. I think 2 things conspired there. One is they launched this pilot thing like 2 months before it was going to go GA. That's a pretty short time frame. Normally, when we're in these pilots, it's well before GA, you know. But this one, they had a fixed GA date of today, and it was 2 months. So that was one thing that I think caused them to feel like they needed to accelerate it. The other thing is that, you know, apparently Microsoft, this is a big deal for Microsoft. Teams is a big deal for Microsoft. And anything that any group has that's associated with Teams is also therefore a big thing. So Oakdale, you know, from the BizApps group is a big thing for Teams, which is a big thing for Microsoft. So lots of eyeballs, lots of scrutiny. So I think that's why they accelerated. I don't know. I guess I need to become a bigger Teams user to appreciate some of this stuff. I mean, I use Teams basically the same way I was using Zoom. You know, same way I was using Skype for Business. I haven't really.
I definitely use it way more than that. I use all the functionality of files. You know, you don't have to know where you're putting them, especially collaboration spaces with people in my team and stuff. I find that very, very effective. Very effective.
I definitely, I haven't dove that deep as you and lots of other folks have, probably need to, especially now that they're leaning in on it so heavy.
Yeah. Yeah, so true, so true. A couple of things. So welcome everybody who's joined us. I see John Cordone there and Prashant and Brian. Thank you, Brian. Lorenas has joined us. I don't know. One thing I was going to say. I got a message this morning. I woke up to this message and it says, "Hi, Mark, quick question. Hoping you might be aware of this, and because I want to throw it out to the audience, see if anyone else is aware of it. Microsoft pays partners $1,000 to $1,500 to conduct app in a day in the Middle East. How true is this? Or am I being scammed? Any info would be appreciated, as it'll tell me a lot about the ally contact," which is assuming somebody's reached out to them on LinkedIn.
Yeah, they've got programs out there that'll do that. It's part of the PI program, partner incentive stuff.
Okay.
So, and you know how they would have programs where they would pay you for POCs and pre-sale and some of those sorts of things. There'd be some Microsoft funding. So there's some funding programs around app in a days, customer service in a day, app in a day. They'll definitely, it's not enough to motivate me to want to go give one.
Yeah.
But if I was giving one anyway, might as well submit it and get some
and get paid. Exactly.
So we're going to mark that as true. That is a true program.
Yeah. So hopefully the person that's listening here, because I didn't say I could use his name, but hopefully that answers that question.
Now I would say you said he's in Middle East.
Sorry, it was for the Middle East. The person asking the question is not based in the Middle East.
I can't speak specifically to Middle East because I don't know if I'm sure these programs differ from country to country.
Yeah.
I know here in the U.S. it's part of in the incentives program. There's programs that you can get funded for doing an app in a day. I think they kind of look at it as like the old days when they would fund us for doing POCs.
Totally.
Yeah, similar things. So they'll pay you for doing it. But I'm U.S. based and I'm looking at the U.S. pages, so I don't know what it is in other countries. But
so that person that asked, who's actually listening right now, what I would do is that if they're contracting you to do it, just make sure that I would always be asked to be paid in advance. Anytime I engage in a new that I don't know, I don't have a relationship with, I always require payment up front nowadays. And
from who? From Microsoft?
No, not from Microsoft. Though. What this looks like, it's another partner in the Middle East asking an expert to go and present on their behalf.
And offering to give him the money that Microsoft reimburses them for it.
Correct. That's what it looks like to me. And so he's worried about, is this somebody scamming him on LinkedIn to deliver it and stuff and then not pay? So what I would say is that, hey, this is a sure thing. It's going to run on the state. Pay me up front and I'll deliver.
Yeah, money up front solves all scammers.
It does. It does. And
you never see a scammer offer to give you money and actually do it.
It also just solves that, some people's accounting processes in organizations are shocking.
Yeah.
I've worked with big companies that there's a massive disconnect between their accounts department and the rest of their business. And so I've just, when you're in a business of one like I am, the last thing you've got time to do is chase late payments on anything.
Best decision I ever made, which we did about 5 years ago now, was every single thing is paid in front.
Is that right? Everything in your business is paid up front.
Everything in our business. Yep. Wow. We don't lift a finger for you until you have purchased a block of hours from us to do so.
Yeah.
And those are all pre-purchased. As a result, every now and then there'll be some customer. It's like, oh, we can't do that. Our systems, or there's no way we can do that. I'm like, I'll pass that. Yeah. I'll pass. If you can't do that because your systems are so screwed up, I can't imagine what it's going to take to try and collect later.
Yeah, exactly right. It should be a red flag right there.
So we also, as a result, we don't have any account receivable function in our organization because it's not necessary.
Yeah.
We don't have any outstanding invoices at any time, nothing.
Yep.
I don't invoice
No
anybody.
collections. No.
Yep,
Yeah.
they prepay and then we work. So there's no chasing any money, there's no invoices, there's no any of that stuff.
Yeah.
The other interesting thing, and I can't remember if I mentioned on the show before, but when people pre-purchase, in particular when they're purchasing things like hours, because that's our model, right? We sell you blocks of hours, you pre-purchase and they go in a bank.
Yep.
These hours seem to somehow, once that happens, they seem to get disconnected from what they cost. They're like, it's the same concept of a casino, right? When you go in and you take $100 and you cash it in for chips. And the reason casinos, use chips instead of having you sit there throwing dollar bills on the table is because you're very aware when you're throwing a stack of 20s on the table, much more so than when it's all been converted to this piece of plastic.
Yeah. Yeah.
It doesn't feel like a $20 bill anymore. It feels like a little piece of plastic.
Vouchers are the same thing, right? Vouchers. My air points at the start of this year in New Zealand with the New Zealand airline in New Zealand, you get, it's $1 for dollar. An air point dollar is equivalent to $1 New Zealand dollar. So that means it's around 10 US cents. When you take the exchange rate. Just kidding. But what happens is that when I saw there was going to be no flying for this year, I was like, mate, I'm taking my money out just in case they change the rules. So I took out about $4,000 worth of air points, but I could redeem them as vouchers. And so I redeemed them as a voucher at, at a hardware store. Now I go in there and I'm like, yeah, I'll have that. Because
exactly. It got disconnected from the money.
Yeah.
Disconnect. Well, it's the same thing that happens when people pre-purchase hours.
Yeah.
It gets completely disconnected from the money. They're just sitting there thinking, I don't know how many times we've had customers say, so do we have enough hours left in the bank to do this?
Yeah.
It's like they would never, if they were post-paying, say, I might want to do this, but I need to know what it'll cost. Now it's, what the heck? Have I got enough hours in the bank to do this?
Yeah.
It's just like you walk into the hardware store with vouchers. It's like, what else can I buy? It's interesting, the psychology when you when you take the money out of the equation, which we do by collecting it up front, and then once it's collected, it's been converted into freaking vouchers.
Yeah, totally.
Poker chips. It's poker chips or vouchers for customers, and they don't even think about it, of course, till they run out of hours.
Yeah, and then I take it you automatically send them something before they go to run out that says, hey, you're about to run out, you need to buy some more.
Yep.
Boom, they buy some more.
Not too much before.
Yeah.
I tell you, it's an interesting psychology there too. If you let somebody know that they're running out of hours too early, when they still have quite a few left, right? Maybe it's down a lot, but maybe they've got 25% of their hours left, and you start letting them know, hey, you're running out of time. What happens then is they slow everything down. They want to try and milk that last 25% as long as they can.
Yeah. So you really only want to let them know when they're down to 5% left or something.
Something like that, where it's too late for them to actually milk it out and try and do stuff. Now they know they're kind of, I'm gonna be like out of time here very soon, and we still have more things to do.
Yeah, it makes sense.
So
no, very good. What was I going to say? Oh, I was going to show you something. I don't know if you've seen this. I'll use myself as a guinea pig here. So I'm just going to pop into the chat there, my LinkedIn profile. And if you go into my LinkedIn profile, can you see that next to my name is a little speaker icon? When you open that up?
I'm opening it now because I'm a sucker. Yes, the little microphone icon.
Yeah, so click on that little speaker.
Is it doing anything?
I can't hear it. It should be doing something.
Oh, I got my volume turned off on my computer, remember?
Okay.
So the YouTube doesn't play.
So what happens if you're on a mobile phone and you go into the LinkedIn app, you can now record your name so that if you've got an unusual name, how do you pronounce it, that type of thing, you can go in there and click it and listen to make sure you're saying the person's name correctly. Now,
how long a recording?
Huh?
How long a recording?
Well, you can have up to 30 seconds on.
Oh, that's an ad. That's
That's what people are
advertisement.
doing. So like mine says, Mark Smith, also known as the NZ365 guy. That's all I've gone and kind of put up there at the moment. But people are actually going out there and going, hey, they add a little segment on the end of it. So encourages, once again, engagement, that type of thing. So
Interesting.
you
Yeah.
should, for all those people that can't pronounce Steve Mordue, you might want to put that up there.
Nah, I don't care about them.
But like, so what? So, you know, when people sign up on my website to my email list,
Yeah.
and I put the email list up there about, must have been when I was in the UK is when I put it up there. This feature that just allows you to get an email from me. In the entire time I've had that list, I've sent out one email. Like,
Right.
so I don't like send out a lot of emails. I need to improve my comms on that channel. But I've got over 1,000 people subscribed off that, you know, on the website in the year that it's been up. And but what I do is that every time somebody signs up, I send them a personalized video.
Yep, I remember that. You're still doing that.
Well, here's the thing. In the last MVP round, a guy that I was helping out in Zimbabwe, was it Zimbabwe? Nah, that's wrong. I forget which African nation it was now. Which African country?
Wasn't it Nigeria?
Nigeria. Yeah. Yes. Well, I've been inundated. I get kind of like this morning, no joke, I shit you not, I did 30 videos this morning before I jumped on this call.
To Nigerians?
Well, what I'm saying is that I assume some of them are because of the email address. And they're all people in the Dynamics community, because like I've gone and put some really at one point I was getting Russians were spamming me constantly on it. And so it cost me money, right? To have a subscriber and email list when something like MailChimp, it costs you money. So I was like, shit, I was constantly deleting them, but I've gone and got around this ability for me to be hit with spam. So I've got all these, and the thing is, pronouncing some of the names are just so difficult when it's, you know, it's a different culture and their language is quite specific in that culture. You know, I find this often with Scandinavian names as well. The way they pronounce or put the emphasis on parts doesn't look like it reads, you know?
Yeah.
It's not necessarily phonetic in a way. And, but yeah, so I often will jump to LinkedIn and go, you know, do they have the recording of their name so I can kind of do it justice?
Well, so far, I mean, the only person that I could imagine, and it's the one that I know that can't pronounce your name, is yourself. Because you pronounce your name Mark Smith. Mark
Smith. Yeah.
Mark, yeah.
Mark Smith.
See, over here, we would call it Mark. Mark. So in the US, you can't pronounce your name.
Yeah, well, I noticed that with NZ CRM guy as well, because in America, like NZ, what's NZ? It's NZ.
What's Z? Yeah,
NZ 365 guy. So yeah, it's the difference in languages. And you know, it's interesting, and I know, just digress here slightly. How come the spelling between British English and US English came about? How come the different words got spelt differently? It was the Telegraph. What happened is that every character you paid for on the Telegraph. And so what happened, because the Telegraph was a big thing in America, Americans started slightly altering words because it would make it cheaper to actually send the telegraph message. And that's how the actual language started to evolve in its the spelling of it.
So words like color, where they deleted the U?
Yeah, C-O-L-O-U-R is how we're brought up to spell it, where you're C-O-L-O-R, right? So
yeah, they dropped the U to save a buck.
Yeah, so, exactly. Save the cent.
Yeah.
But back then it was a big deal.
Well, I mean, color, it does seem like the U is superfluous.
Color.
Color.
Yeah. Color. Yeah, so true.
So I did a on our internal private chat Slack channel, somebody had made a comment yesterday about Yuka's post. Yuka Niernan
Oh,
just
yeah,
posted he just did a post about Microsoft Teams and Dynamics that got picked up by Y Combinator, a couple of these big folks. So he's very pleased with the traction that got. And somebody told him that he should consider recording his posts like I do with my Steve reads his blog.
Yeah, yeah.
So as a joke, I told him, I said, hey, I'll do it. And then Yuka came back as a joke again and said, yeah, sure, that'd be an interesting art form. I fully approve this.
Yeah.
So I had some time yesterday afternoon, call canceled. And so I went in and did a special edition of Steve Reads his blog, where Steve reads Yuka's post.
Nice, nice.
So it was kind of funny. If anybody hasn't, it's interesting reading someone else's words. I'll write a blog post, and then normally right when I finish the blog post before I publish it, I'll pull up, Audacity, throw on my headset and record it. And I do it in, one take, no edits other than maybe, adjust the volume, something like that.
Yeah.
But it was my own word, so it's pretty easy to read. Actually, it's surprising how often you will edit a post when you read it out loud.
Right.
I'll sit there and read one of my posts a couple of times.
And you go, yeah, it doesn't read
looks
well.
fine. And then as soon as I put on the recording and start saying it out loud, is where you start realizing, there should have been a comma there.
Mhm.
That, you know what I mean? It's surprising how different it is when you actually say it out loud.
Yeah.
There's a tip for everybody to make sure your blog posts are as tidy as they can be. Read them out loud before you publish. I'll guarantee you will go in and make several changes. But when you're reading someone else's words, it's definitely more of a challenge, because I know when I was saying something that I wrote, where I meant to put emphasis or where I didn't. But when you're reading someone else, it's not quite as easy.
Yeah.
So I took what I thought I was going to just jump on and knock that thing out in about 10 minutes. It ended up taking me about an hour with editing it up and cleaning it up to put that together.
So has the post gone out there? Have you published it out on your blog as such in the read form?
Yeah, it's out on the blog. It's out on the, which as soon as I publish the blog, it goes out to Twitter, LinkedIn, goes up on the.
Yeah.
There's Jonas. Hey man, how's it going? Look,
Jonas, join us. There's
a sucker who's actually listening to the sessions live without realizing that they're all recorded anyway.
Yeah, but the thing is, no, he's not. Yeah, I mean, nobody's listening to them live, right?
Right.
Because they're all pre-recorded. After all, we saw James Phillips. What was it last week with his butt photo in there, saying he was recording his Ignite session then. But I don't know. With Jonas's time zone, it might be, sleeping material. Help him go to sleep watching it at the moment.
Either that or we are. we might be his sleeping material.
He's doing work. Wow, very good.
What time, Jonas, let us know what time of day it is where you're at.
Jonas is one of these people that got into this controversy over calling the new icons logos. And it's funny, Ben Vollmer quickly came back and smashed him with his XRM toolbox all in camel casing and stuff. Because Jonas is so passionate, of course, around protecting the integrity of XRM toolbox.
10:30 p.m. for the Americans.
Gotcha. Yeah. And you're still working, man. That boss of yours drives you hard. Gustav is a hard taskmaster. It's not Gustav, is it? It's Catherine.
It's his wife, right? By 10:30 p.m. here in America, I would have already been 2 Manhattans in. There would be no work getting accomplished. That's for sure.
Yeah.
I definitely, I tell you what, I get up every morning at 7 and I make the long journey across 8 feet to my office, stopping for coffee on the way. And so I'm normally sitting by my desk about 10 after 7.
Yeah.
But come around 5 o'clock, I feel like I've done it. I mean, I work for myself, right? So you would think, well, you're going to put in as many hours as you can because you benefit. But come 5 o'clock, I don't care who I'm working for, myself or anybody else. I'm ready to.
Yeah.
I'm ready to, turn off the computer. And I used to not do that. I used to, I'd stay in the office working, come home from work, go back to work after dinner and sit there. I mean, it was a big challenge I had with my ex was working, but yeah, not anymore. Now, I mean, 5 o'clock, I'm going to stop. I ain't going to do nothing till the
Yeah.
next morning. Same thing on the weekends. I mean, unless it's pouring rain or there's some reason or another you can't really do anything. Maybe if it's cold out where you're at, too cold to do anything, then maybe I'd do some work. But other than that, man, I'm a 40-hour a weeker.
Yeah. Yeah, which is different than a lot of Americans, because the American definitely has this perception that it's a lot more. But also, I think it depends what company you work for. I've got a friend of mine in Microsoft in Sydney, and she's saying her standard is 15 hours a day.
Well, Jonas is clarifying here that he's working on community work.
Yeah.
So that makes sense. I mean, if you're producing community content for whatever reason, whether it's for MVP or just because your heart is bursting with a need to help others,
about it.
Most employers aren't going to want to pay you to do that. So if you're going to do that, you're pretty much going to do it on your own time, I guess.
Yeah, so true, so true. Can you hear that chainsaw in the background here?
Nope.
Oh, it's good. It's good. The microphone must be good then. I don't know if you've seen a bunch of MVPs have started a new company out there. They are George Dubinsky, Julie
Started or joined?
They've started.
Okay, I thought they got added to what Julie and David and Derek were doing.
Yeah, well, so yeah, they've grown, but as far as I know, they've all got an equal share in the operation. So 365.training.
Yep.
And there, and the thing is that, if you take Derek, if you take David, Julie, George, and of course, Nick Dolman, these guys are doing a lot of training around the traps. They do a lot of the training content for Microsoft, everything from app in a day to admin in a day, all being done by these guys, under contract to Microsoft. So I think it's smart that they've got together and are building a dedicated training company to this space that is 100% online.
I think this is yet another example of opportunities created by two things happening. One, a virus killing live events, and two, a virus, frankly, killing UG.
Yeah.
I think UG is suffering. I think this virus caught them, unawares and because they weren't listening, and I think it has knocked them on their ass. And I think that there's lots of opportunities that have opened up because of the virus and that in our space. For example, their training.
Yeah.
That is certainly stuff that they used to do for, of course, for Microsoft, but also for UG. They'd have those day ahead, right? The paid training days ahead of the conferences and stuff like that, where people get that content. Now, no more.
Yeah.
They've created part of the to a lesser degree, but that ISV connected thing that I'm doing for ISVs, it's partly because I'm seeing, for one thing, ISVs were always kind of a subcategory even at UG.
Yeah.
But now there's really like no category. So there's some little opportunities popping up here as a result of these, and I think they're taking advantage of one. There's lots of folks out there happy to do videos or YouTubes of how to do stuff, and they're charging, right? Their stuff isn't free.
Yep.
So the difference is I can go to YouTube and I can watch some video from somebody I never heard of telling me all about portals.
Yeah.
And he may be correct, he may not. He may know more than I do. He may just be fumbling around himself on the fly, figuring it out. Who knows?
Yeah.
And that's what I would get for free is maybe somebody knows what they're talking about, maybe not. I don't know.
Yeah.
But, then I got Nick Dolman, who obviously, Nick knows. I mean, he grabbed onto portals, planted his flag around portals and decided I'm gonna learn everything there is to know about portals. I'm gonna be the goddamn portal expert.
Yeah.
And he is. He is certainly one of a very small handful of people that I would consider who actually understand portals. So yeah, if I want to learn about portals, and I'm gonna pay for a guy like Nick as opposed to go listen to some clown on YouTube.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
you take both David and Derek.
Yep.
Right, these guys, they don't just tutor around with this stuff. They know this stuff inside and out. If they're delivering a course on it, George is another one. They absolutely know it, and so I think that they have got that kind of brand credibility behind them to output top quality training material. And you talk about jumping in, and it's like fast food when you take snack bites of stuff online. If you're wanting to train and really learn a technology, I think it takes more than just a snack bite on YouTube here and there. You need the actual, here's the structured program. You're going to start here and know nothing. You're going to get here and you're going to be at a beginner/intermediate level, and it's very, the domain of it, etc., is structured.
I agree. I think that not only do they know, because there's lots of people that know the products, right? But you could know everything there is to know about a product and still not be worth a shit at teaching someone else.
Yeah.
So it's like two skill sets. One is I have deep knowledge of the product,
Yeah.
but I actually know how to communicate, structure, and convey this information where you're going to walk away knowing more than you came in.
Exactly.
Which I can't say for, a lot. I mean, you and I have both been sitting on sessions with people that we know are very knowledgeable of the product, but man, I can't understand what the hell they're talking about in this session, and nobody's learning anything. They can't teach. They can't teach. I think that's another part of that skill that they've got.
Yeah. Prashant, they're talking about
obviously George, Julie, Derek. I mean, I think that's all Derek does pretty much.
Yeah.
So, I mean, these are people that have been teaching stuff for a very long time. In addition to
the start of last year, I was in China with Derek teaching, in Microsoft China, and that guy, like, he blows me away about how deep, like, in his spare time, all he's doing is learning, trying to break things, trying to make them work in the technology space.
Which guy? Who are you talking about?
Derek.
Oh, Derek Borman.
Yeah. So he really, really, really knows his stuff. Like he thoroughly knows it. And through kind of just the hours he spends on it.
And I know you obviously met him in person. Very, very unassuming guy. Very quiet guy. He's not, he's not loud. He's not boisterous. He's a very, very quiet guy producing all this stuff. It's hard to imagine after talking to the guy that he's, feels confident enough to actually get on a video.
Yeah. Yeah. But no, he's great. He's great. Definitely a top bloke. I see Prashant there saying, that DCI is suffering. And I just put the LinkedIn link there to the new CEO. And he's been doing the rounds and chatting with various folks to see, how do they take that organization forward. So yeah, interesting. I just don't know if it's too late or how things are going to end up with DCI in that respect. The Dynamics Con event ran, and to all intents and purposes, it seemed popular. I'm just not certain that that's like a one-off event, and DCI was never just the event. They did a lot around the user group element as well.
Yeah.
But they've always been a for-profit organization. That's always been quite clear with DCI. They've never been a not-for-profit organization, to my knowledge. Always been for-profit. And in the new world, I think there's going to need to be new ways of thinking about how you're profitable and how you make money. And if you're going to run a membership style organization, the value has to far exceed the price that you pay for membership.
Yeah, and you have to offer things that are not readily available in free alternatives.
Yeah, anywhere else.
Otherwise, you're what? Just an aggregator, right? A centralized source.
An aggregator, yeah. On the
Yeah, you
money.
saved me from having to search YouTube by producing, but that's only worth so much. So,
Yeah.
you know, and I obviously, I never had any issue with the fact that they're a for-profit org. I mean, hey, I'm a for-profit org. I mean, there's nothing wrong with being for-profit. I think a lot of people got really upset about how dare they try and make money on this community. Well, they've been a money-making enterprise since they started, and they built
Yep.
this community. It's
Yep.
their community, it's not a public community. They created it.
Yeah.
They should absolutely be allowed to monetize. Well, okay, now then we move back to free market. You have every right to monetize on all of these people that you drew into your organization through your own efforts.
Yeah.
And you own that community. It's yours.
Yeah.
But now the free market kicks in, and things you're offering me today, you know, I'm not seeing the value in the thing you're
Yeah.
offering that I did before, either because it's available elsewhere.
Yeah.
A lot, maybe some of the value I saw in a live event, which isn't there in a virtual event, was very valuable to me, which isn't, I mean, they're subject to the forces of the market. And lots of, I mean, even MVPs listen on their freaking high horses about, I don't understand how they can charge anything. Well, give me a fucking break. Do you work for free?
Yeah.
I mean, you know, people don't work for free. I mean, they got to, so I don't have any problem with their wanting to make money off the business. They always have.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
been a business model.
It's
The only
just,
thing that's changed is, I mean, all these people that are on their high horse, you know, they've always been members of UG. They've always paid to go to their events. They've done all their sorts of stuff. Now all of a sudden they're all complaining. Well, yeah, that's because you can get a lot of this information now for free.
yeah.
That's what UG wasn't prepared for, was to basically have their value usurped by free.
Yeah.
They didn't count on that. And a big part of their value proposition, you know, learning about the products, you know, is now available because you get a whole bunch of people like, you know, Jonas here, who's sitting up at night instead of, you know, hanging out with his family. He's working on a free tool for a bunch of unappreciative shitheads that could care less about anything, and will be the first ones to give him a batch of shit when they have the slightest bit of problem with his tool that they're not paying a dime for.
Mm.
Nothing
Is that
wrong
why
with
you're?
it.
Is that why you're?
Not
Is that
something
why
I
you're
would,
making all
you
your
know,
products for free?
you know, we just made Rapid Start free, but I've had people say, oh, so it's open source. No, not open source. There's a big difference between there's a big difference between free and open source.
Yeah. Yeah.
And this, we're not making Rapid Start free for the good of the world. You know, I'm not making it free because, you know, I'm Mr. Altruistic. I want to make
Yeah.
everybody's
Yeah. Yeah.
lives wonderful. We just have a different, it's part of a different strategy for revenue.
Yeah. The way to go to market.
Yeah, it's a different way of going to my, so this isn't a voluntary altruistic effort of us making this thing free.
Yeah.
You know, we have other motives.
Yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense. Just jumping on. Oh, you know, last week we talked about reviews
Reviews of what?
on my podcast.
I don't know.
Remember,
Is it time for another
we
Mark
were
Smith
talking about, you
advertisement?
know, who wants to jump on and do a review of the podcast.
Oh, yes, you did. Yes.
Was
You
it
said
last
it's all-
week or the week before?
Yeah. See, Prashant is agreeing with me. Yes, we already did that. Do we have to do it again? Yes,
No, I'm just saying I got smashed.
Did you?
Like, unbelievable. Actually, I even did a review on your podcast.
Did you? At Pod Chaser?
Yeah, on Podchaser, but on I've got this kind of aggregate that pulls them from all the different environments. For me, I just get this RSS feed of them all. So
I can expect a review that says something like, "This is a great podcast. I recommend it to anybody who wants information about the subject the person is talking about."
no, the review I put on yours is if you want to listen to a foul-mouthed, know-it-all American.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
Something to that effect.
Fair
This
enough.
is a podcast for you.
Yeah. It's funny. It's the you know, when you talk about a tool, it's what got me thinking. It's like these, you know, these LinkedIn invitations from people that are like, "Hey, it seems like we have some people in common."
Yeah.
You know, ignore.
Yeah, I get them.
You get the comments on the blog. This was very interesting to me. I think others would enjoy it. You didn't even read it. It's just generic horse shit. You know,
Yeah.
delete.
Yeah.
Emails saying, hey, I'm just following up on my last 3 emails. Yep, delete.
Like, honestly, when I see that, you still haven't replied to me, delete. Like,
exactly. Yep.
no,
Still not gonna.
If I don't recognize your name, we're obviously not, having a conversation or something. So therefore your email is purely in your interest and not in mine.
I tell you, when you flip your hat around and put it on as the marketer hat, it makes things a little tricky. If you're thinking about, using email for any kind of marketing today, because I mean, I got a trigger finger, man. That inbox, I'm definitely not opening any email. I'm from the first 5 words of your subject.
Mm-hmm.
I'm
Yeah,
making a
totally.
decision already. First 5 words
Yep.
of your subject,
Yep.
which,
Yep.
because I already know it's not to me. It's not about me. It's
yeah. This is look, Jonas is now it looks like his rap name, Rapid ID Start.
Rapid start. Rapid start.
Yes.
Well, it's not open source, Jonas, but it is free. You're welcome to install it on a customer and go rename our app Rapid Start for that customer if you like. You can even come up with your own, should we say logo or icon? I don't know. What's the proper word now?
Icon.
Is it a logo or an icon? Well, Jonas is going to say it's a logo. Like his FXD.
He said it was a logo on Twitter, definitely.
Yep.
I see all the Microsoft folks now are hard tweeting out about the post of Ryan Cunningham's. It has arrived. Project Oakdale has arrived.
Yes. It's funny. Here we go again. A big announcement with a temporary name.
Yeah.
They'll be talking about Project Oakdale nonstop now until they come up with a new name. And we will all be out there talking to customers about the only thing we can talk about is Project fucking Oakdale and explaining to everybody what Project Oakdale is. Yeah. And then they'll come up with a name.
Yeah.
And send the whole market into a big spin, all over again. Just like they've done time and time again with us having to go back out there with, it's thankfully Dataflex didn't last very long because I was already in the process of starting to talk to customers about Dataflex Pro instead of Common Data Service and having to make that leap for them from the thing I was talking about before, and now it's called this, and trying to make that leap. And then that name went away. Now we'll be doing the same thing with Oakdale. We'll be out there explaining to customers who are going to be saying, what is this Oakdale? And we're going to explain it to them. And they, they're not paying attention like we are to everything that's going on in here. They're customers.
So it's just another canvas and model driven scenario to explain PowerApps.
Yeah.
So I did a podcast recording last night, which is something I don't normally do at the night hours, but it was someone in the UK. Check out this. This is a photo he sends on Twitter.
Okay, he's stolen our haircut.
And of course, he normally has a full head of hair, and he tweeted out that he's just about to do a podcast with me, and I was like, damn, that doesn't look too dissimilar. Yeah. And I tell you what, Will Dorrington blows me away. Like, I've known him for a couple of years now, and that guy is, I don't know, he's borderline genius, just phenomenal. I didn't realize he went to university at 16 years of age. He's got 2 master's degrees. He's fought in Afghanistan. He's fucking Somalia warships. He was on patrol of them doing, sorry, not Somalia warships, of Somalian pirates,
Oh yeah.
And he's an AX guru. Like, the guy is just phenomenally smart. Like, phenomenally smart. I couldn't get over it. I tell you, it's a good podcast. We talk about, because they came up with the whole hackathons that have been going around for the last couple of years, and the growth of hackathons and how they're so effective at kind of bringing the community together, creating solutions, particularly for non-for-profits in these scenarios that are tangible and work. But I'm going to publish that next Tuesday. my time. So it should be an interesting podcast to see how people, because as I say, I didn't realize there's so many people in our community that are so smart. Like, I think I'm this smart, and then they're like, kind of like
It's also interesting, that I've met him several times at events, and he always, seems like the big partier, jokester. So you kind of give people a pass at events because everybody's kind of got their event face on, and a lot of people's event face was, "Hey, I'm a party animal. Give me another beer." You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But you never really know, is this person got any smarts at all, or they don't necessarily blog, they don't necessarily do anything else. So the only thing you know them from is, they're like Huntingford, you remember him from ordering beers 2 at a time. He doesn't order a single beer. He always orders 2 mugs. He orders beers 2 at a time.
But once
big beers.
An absolute rock star in what he does, like in the day job,
Yeah.
Yes, knows how to party hard, but mate, just absolutely fantastic. Which is part of those TDG guys, Kyle, and the other 2, Will, and of course, who did you say then? Chris. Those 3, right, started TDG, and mate, all of them, their careers have just boom in the last 2 years. Kyle's at Avanade. I think Jonas told me he took over his role because Jonas was at Avanade for a while. Avanade
Jonas
Europe
was there for about an hour, I think. Before he couldn't stand it any longer.
And then Chris, of course, went to Microsoft, and Will started the Power Platform practice at Hitachi Europe, and it is just exploded, like inundated with new projects just constantly happening. Definitely COVID's created a lot of work for a lot of people in the right space, in our space. It seems a lot of big companies that are working with big companies, need it. What else do you say? Fun trivia. During one of the Oakdale sessions, first slide says Project Oakland, and the presenter even said that in the
Project Oakland. So they can't even figure out what their own temporary name is.
Gotcha. Oakland. I was going to say Oakland over Oakdale. Yeah.
Or maybe that was a slip, and that is the real name that's coming. Oakland, Oakdale was
trying to tie the trademark down.
Yeah, exactly. Well, you were once saying, I think, that they can't trademark places, right? So Oakland
the whole idea that they call them project names, like project based on regions or cities or something like that, is because apparently you can't trademark them.
Probably the same thing with planets, I presume.
Yeah.
Remember they had the Orion and all the...
I think the whole thing is that if the word's in the dictionary, you're not meant to be able to trademark it. Isn't that right? But I don't know, because magnetism, I got that trademarked, and nobody, I got a full registered trademark on the word magnetism. Now, come on, that's a dictionary word. Surely I should.
I think it has to do with the trademarking has to do with the use case, right? And your use case wasn't, magnetism.
It had nothing to do with the education of magnets or the application of magnetic fields. Correct.
Yeah. If you look up magnetism in the dictionary, it doesn't say, Microsoft Cloud Partner. So it's probably more how it's being used,
Yeah. Valid. Well, I've got to probably jump off a minute or so early today because I've got a chinwag with Brian Dang in the next couple of minutes. So.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
He's an interesting guy.
Yeah, he's. It's going to be interesting to see what he has to say. So looking forward to having a chat with him.
And he's Microsoft also, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He was a school teacher that, just adopted PowerApps early on as an educational tool. And then, I'd say, like so many people that show very high aptitude of applying in an industry, Microsoft go, hey, come join us.
Or high level of interest at the right time.
Yeah.
So he demonstrated a high level of interest in a product, school teacher, good market, at a right time when Microsoft was wanting to blow that thing up.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying a guy got a free ride or anything, but I'm
No,
saying
no,
timing has a lot to do with some of these folks at Microsoft catapults. Is
yeah,
we need a person like this who's an evangelist or this, then
yeah,
timing is everything for some of that stuff. So now we'll be looking for who's going to be the team's guru. We always talk about people,
yeah,
planting a flag to become the expert around, and Oakdale will be another new one that
yeah.
someone's going to plant the flag and say, I'm going to become the Nick Dolman of portals. I'm going to become that
Yeah.
of Oakdale or whatever. And we'll see
It's wide
who
open,
that's
right?
going
It's
to be.
wide open for people. And I think Jerry Weinstock always said the brilliance of because he went and became very big on Power Automate after being for years in D365 space. And
Yeah.
he was big on, listen, you can take any one of these new things at Microsoft, and all you got to do is talk about all the new discoveries that you're making in the tool.
Yeah.
Then, as it's released, you're now all of a sudden seen as, whoa, you're the guru, as because you've been through all the betas and everything. And then you can use the next couple of years just to work on all the problems with it,
Right.
publishing about, and here's the fix and that type of thing. You've got 3-year window envelope to carve yourself out as absolutely king guru of a space and own it.
I would say before, and you can carve yourself out until the masses arrive, and the masses have kind of arrived at Power Automate.
And PowerApps.
Yeah. Megan Walker's probably got another year of being the expert in what is now a customer voice.
Yeah.
Before the masses will all arrive, and then she'll be kind of drowned out. So
Yep.
there definitely are these windows, and it's the same thing right now with Project Oakdale. Someone or some small group of people are going to be blogging and doing just what you're talking about, and they're going to become kind of the go-tos for Oakdale.
Yeah.
But that's a window. You don't stay the expert in any of this stuff forever, because once the masses arrive, you just kind of get diluted. So it's a window that people need to some people need to jump through and paddle as fast as you can, as hard as you can, as long as that water's running, and make as much noise, reputation wise. We look at how many MVPs have been made that way.
Totally.
Exact same way.
Well, I'm going to say sayonara, goodbye, hello, goodbye. I must go, and so I can jump on this other call. Thanks everybody for joining us
good,
today.
guys. See y'all.
Appreciate
Enjoy
it.
the night.